Hi, Lee Phillips here. I get the question, okay, I've got my cell phone, I've got my computer. Who pays for them? Me or my company? Well, if the company pays for them, that's probably a tax deduction for the company, which will ultimately give you a tax benefit, right? Yeah, but I use the cell phone and the computer part for personal, part for company. I use it during the day at the office, and I have to have a cell phone, I have to have a computer. But then I take my cell phone home at night and talk to the kids, and I take my computer home and I check my email and I buy stuff on Amazon and do all of that sort of stuff. So what should I do? I had somebody ask, is it a loan to my company for the amount that I use it? Well, the answer is go ahead and deduct these types of things on your company expenses. Have the company pay for the cell phone bill every month and just write it off as an expense. Now, you did use it some personally. The fact of the matter is, on these types of things, the IRS says it's de minimis. We're not going to sweat the small stuff, so to speak. Yeah, we know you're using your cell phone when your wife calls during the day, but you use it at the office all the time and make your office calls and stuff on your cell phone. We're not going to challenge you on it. Just go ahead and write it off. And, okay, I go ahead and write it off. I'm audited. Chances are nothing's going to happen. The most that could happen is the auditor says, you're using that cell phone for 38.6% of the time. How does he know that? He doesn't. So he can't really argue with you. But if he says you use it 60% of the time for business, 40% of the time for personal, then you'd have to claim 40% of the cost of the cell phone as your income, or the company wouldn't get a deduction for it. So it's not a big deal. You're not going to go to jail. 99.9% of the time, nothing's going to happen on these de minimis issues. So err on the side of having the company deduct it and write it off. You can carry this to the big things, like cars. Well, okay, I'm using my car 30% of the time for the company, 70% of the time for personal. And by the way, going back and forth between house and work, that's personal. So what do you do with the car? Well, you're not going to write it off. One, the car has to be over 6,000 pounds. There's a bunch of rules that you have to follow in order to actually have the company write off the vehicle. Two, you want personal insurance on it. Because if you get company insurance, commercial insurance on that car, it's going to be 3 times what it is for your private insurance. Now you want a policy, try and get one, that says I can use the car a little bit for my business. Because if you're in an accident and they say, well, where were you going? Well, I was going to a business meeting. Well, then your private insurance may not cover that because you were on a business run. So work that out with your insurance agent. That's going to be a sticky point. What you're going to do is keep track of the mileage and pay yourself the federal mileage. It was 67 last year, it's 70 this year. Yes, this is 2025. It's going to be 75 or whatever it is next year. It goes up a little bit each year. You have to look it up every year. Just type in on the computer federal mileage rate and it'll come right up. So keep track of the miles and then pay yourself the 70 cents per mile between the office, the business meeting, and back. And claim the car as personal. By the time you pay the insurance on a commercial vehicle, one that you've written off in your business, it's not worth it, guys. Even the tax deduction. So just do mileage. That's the easiest by far. And if you have to depreciate the car and you sell it within the 5 years, you have to reclaim the recapture. It's just a mess. So have the company write off the things that it can. That's the advantage of you having a small business. And that goes to insurance premiums. It goes to putting retirement away. It goes to all kinds of things that your little company can do for you. But the cell phone, the computer, the little stuff, go ahead and do it. And you'll be fine. The most you can do is pay a little bit extra in tax when they audit you, but the chance of audit's not big, and you certainly haven't done anything wrong. So the most they can do is extract a little money out of you. This is Lee Phillips talking about, gee, what do I do with the cell phone and the computer and the things in my office that I use personally and for business?